JOFA, the Jewish Orthodox Feminist Alliance, had a very big conference in New York recently, very, very well attended, and you're seeing this take root. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of pushback. You know, there was a synagogue in London that was really rudely criticized by the governing group of that synagogue because women were allowed to hold the Torah in the women's section, which I certainly have seen happen in Orthodox synagogues in America.
I think that the story happened in England, and I think it's that defines sort of a difference in American Judaism and European Judaism. I think that synagogue, that it's something that's so not unusual in America. I think that story would not actually happen in America.
But it was happening 15 and 20 years ago. That was a huge issue in New York, in the New York area, all over this country. But it was 15 or 20 years ago.
Exactly. And I think what's happening is that I think the synagogues very rarely once they start becoming progressive, they very rarely go backwards. And so this is like an example of a synagogue in England that's starting to move into the progressive direction. I think the rabbis were starting to get petrified and losing control of what's going on in Europe. They're like, forget it, we have to make this a big deal. And they're petrified. And so it just shows that they're really anxious and that there's something happening in Europe that already happened here, 15, 20 years ago.
But I think there's a kind of a tectonic shift slowly happening in the Orthodox community between those that are going in a more progressive direction and those which are becoming much more right-wing. And, of course, the issue of women having a Sefer Torah in the women's section, it's a hashkafic, not a halachic issue. It's a worldview issue. It's
meaning it's really sort of philosophical or custom rather than law.
Right. But of course, customs take the force of law over time, certainly. And like I think you were alluding, rabbis are eager to perpetuate that notion, or certainly the leadership is, because therein lies their influence in many ways. But I wonder why it is that Orthodox women don't know that, many are happy to accept the status quo, many women that I know, as well as many being eager to kind of create a little more space for their own voice and connection to Torah. I mean, it's hard to understand why this is so prohibited, because these are just women who want to be close to the Torah. How can you...
I think it's at the indoctrination piece. I think that's what's like when you grow up indoctrinated in the Orthodox tradition. It's an emotional thing that happens. It's like this idea of what's right and what's wrong, period. And it's very difficult to develop your own emotional connection to the Torah, your own emotional connection to, to go beyond what's written as, to defy what they say as what's right and what's wrong.